You gave me the letter. I guess it was July. You said we'll be better, but I don't know why.
Welcome to Nolapapa, and this is a new season and new topics to talk about. And I'm going to talk about things that are kind of heavy, things that have happened to me personally, things that I feel like have made me who I am. And as hard as those things that I went through I feel like that they were an integral part of my development and making me the more compassionate and empathetic person that I am. We are approaching holiday season, and I strongly feel that the more we get into it, the harder some things are with dealing with, being happy and spreading that happiness to other people. Because if you've dealt with, traumatic things that you've had to deal with, sometimes holidays really stir up those emotions. And for me, losing my brother was really hard. And it took me a long time to get to where I am today. And holidays are hard. They're damn hard. And everybody that is affected in your family, it's hard for everybody. So when you get all those people together to celebrate and spread cheer and happiness, it's kind of hard for that to happen. The only thing that I can think about is just being real and allowing the real raw emotions that you're feeling at that moment, at that present moment, to happen. You don't want to hide behind some wall and not allow those emotions to come through. I was 22 when my brother died, and he died of an overdose. He died when he was 17 years old, and I lived in New Orleans at that time. But it doesn't matter if it's been 16 years or if it's been 2 years or if it's been 6 months. It is like a time portal. And on the outside, people, see your grief, but as years go by, people don't get the gravity of how deep that wound is. And they think just because 10 years has gone by that, you're good again. And on the outside, by 10 years, you probably are smiling. But there are days where you still cry and you don't want to be happy, but you just keep moving on and keep keeping on. And it's the holidays a lot of times because you have that absence of that family member that's not there. I dealt with an abusive father all my life, and I honestly feel like that it's because of him that my brother died. And that took me a long time to work through with a therapist, and I would have nightmares at night, and it was really hard to get through that. He was verbally and physically abusive to my mother growing up. Some of the first memories I ever have of is his abuse towards her. And, as I grew older, I was able to know what was right and wrong. And, he would lash out at me, and he would be verbally abusive to me. And it got to a point where I didn't want to be around him anymore. And my brother did. My brother was a daddy's boy. And it didn't matter what I would be able or what I felt like I needed to tell him. It didn't matter because he could see no wrong through my dad. By the time he was old enough to remember anything, my mom and dad were divorced. So he didn't remember those memories that I replay in my head. And as he grew and started to mature, he would always go to my dad's, and my dad was the piss poor epitome of a poor and bad influence. And he developed these traits that my dad had, partying and not, and again, he was 15 years old, so he had the right to grow and learn from his mistakes. That's what kids do. They learn from their mistakes and they grow from that. But he developed these traits from my dad, and he would party, he would lie, he would steal, he was given liquid methadone from my dad. And I, to this day, replay in my head, like, what if he didn't see my dad that day? Because my dad gave it to him. And how different our lives would be if he was able to listen to me about not going to my dad's. It's something that I can't stop thinking about. As days go on and turn into years, I'm able to not dwell on it, but it kills me to know that at 17 years old, he was given something so potent by my dad, and he's gone from us forever. And I wish that there was something that even could be done to my dad. I want justice, and there's, really no proof. The only reason I know that he gave it to him is because when my brother did die that day, he did die, my dad tried to kill himself, and he was in a psychiatric hospital. And as a good son, I felt like it was my duty to go and visit him. And I was told the whole time that my brother found the methadone in his car, and he took it. He took the methadone from my dad's car. And that's what I was told. So that's what I was thinking when I went to this psychiatric hospital. And I went there with my aunt, and my aunt was kind of in the background. She was there, I guess, as moral support. And I went back there, and as I walked down the hallway, there were glass windows and glass walls, and I could see him in a chair, and he had a jumpsuit on. He was rocking back and forth like this. And I was like, damn, this is heavy. Like, I'm grieving from my brother, and now I'm going through this, like the day of my brother's funeral. Like, it's a little too deep. And I went through the door, and he didn't even look up. Like, he just was in his own, like, whatever he was thinking. And I put my hand on his shoulder. My aunt was in the background. And he said, and he started shaking like this. And he was like, I put it in his hands. I put it in his hands. And he kept repeating that over and over and over, like a loop in his head. And I got chill bumps. Like, I thought he found it in the fucking car. What are you talking about right now? I wasn't saying that, but I was thinking it. What do you do? Like, what? I didn't know what to say. I didn't know what to do. My aunt was still there. I looked over at her, my eyes as big as saucers, and I was disgusted. I knew exactly what he was talking about. What else would he have put in his hands? So after about 7 minutes, and probably 5 of those minutes, I was just in my head like, what do I do? Do I leave? I think I need to leave. I can't believe this. And I left. And I was so mad. I mean, I went home and I told my mom. And then when I told my mom, it hit the fan. Like, the tallest fan in the world, it hit it. And I didn't know after I told her if I had made a mistake, like, ooh, maybe I shouldn't have told her that. And I, thought and tried to search my heart, like, that I think I did make the right choice. She needed to know that. And I just couldn't believe where it was going from there. I didn't realize that when I told her after I got back from the hospital that the drama would escalate. I don't know what I was thinking. In a way, like, I was so clouded with all these different emotions. All I knew is I felt like my mama should know. And I told her. And my aunt that was there, that was my dad's sister, who was my favorite aunt in the whole world. Like, I have the funniest and best memories with her growing up. But she came back to my mom's house with me, and I went back to my mom's room by myself with her, and I told her, and my mom lost it. She completely lost it. Got violent, not with me. She was so angry at my dad because growing up with the abuse that we were subjected to, and the amount of verbal abuse that we were subjected to, and even after my mom divorced him, he would still threaten to beat her, to beat my stepdad up. He would stalk. And dealing with that throughout high school, middle school, elementary, and then it ended with my brother. Well, when I told my mom that, she went after my aunt. That's her brother. That's, her blood. And she asked my aunt about it, and I was standing right there, and she denied what I said happened. She denied it and said that I did not. I wasn't recalling it right, and that my brother really found it in the car. So what I just experienced at the psychiatric hospital didn't happen. And that broke my heart. So the pain of going through my brother's death, the horror finding out that my dad gave it to him, and then the sadness that I felt when I found out she said that I was making it up. It was too many emotions. Like, what is going on? And it took a long time to work through each of those. Like, I mean, damn. Like I said in the beginning, you're dealt with these cards and you learn to live with them, because you deserve to be happy. And the people around you deserve to be happy. So I needed to work through them. But that's heavy. We tried to get justice, through an attorney and the district attorney, and apparently with my aunt's testimony or whatever, and my dad denying it to the authorities, they went with what they had to say rather than mine, and it was dropped. Just like that. So, at the end of the day, what I need to hold on to is my brother was 17 years old. He was about to be a senior, and he knew right from wrong. Yeah, my father should have been a father, a good father, and never offered it to him. What father does that? But my brother, he could have said no, or he could have said no. And he didn't. And now he's gone forever. So rather than putting it all in my father's basket and giving him the pain or the blame, which it really, honestly, it's in his basket. But for me to psychologically work through the emotions, I need to lay blame, distribute it. I can't just let him have, take the whole burden. And that helps me deal. And whatever you go through, as long as you keep yourself healthy and you work through those emotions, whatever makes you heal and stronger, then that's okay. Because losing someone so important, that, whether it be my brother or, someone so close in your life, it's all about keeping yourself healthy for tomorrow. So if you have to work through those emotions, work through them. By God, work through them. So what you see a shrink? Who cares? There's a stigma about shrinks. Maybe it's a Southern thing. I don't know. See one. Work through it. I mean, it is so important to be happy. And if you have to work through each one of those emotions that give you nightmares, like me, I had nightmares for years. I mean, I still startle at the drop of a hat. Like somebody could walk in a room and it scares the crap out of me. And that's from my dad. And I'll always be startled easy. That is petty. I don't care about that. It's the nightmares. It's the getting lost in the thoughts. But mainly it was the nightmares would really mess me up. And it was when I started seeing a therapist that I was able to work through those emotions, and it was okay again. It's been 16 years. Almost as long as my brother was alive. And that is too much for me to even think about right now. He was 17 when he left, and he's been gone 16 years. So if you know someone dealing with something, despite it being 12 years ago, 8 years ago, ask them how they're doing. Call them, hug them, take them out to lunch, pick their brain. Because if they went through anything like I went through, a phone call would be really nice. And it's hard. And now I have kids. I have 2 little girls that Papa has to be strong. I feel like I need to be happy, and I should be happy. I want them to grow up in a happy home. So it's important to keep my head healthy. And I'm so glad I had 5 years of therapy to work through it. I had no idea at that point I was going to have children. And I feel like those 5 years did wonders for my mental capacity. So I guess I'm saying all of this because if you know anyone that has gone through trauma of losing someone close to them, don't write it off at being so long down the road, because that wound never goes away. And it's so important to be empathetic today. We go through a lot in our daily lives, and I get that. But sympathize and empathize and be there for that person. And if you are going through something like I've gone through, just talk it out. Don't hold it in. Holding it in festers, and you get resentments, and you get angry, and you lash out, and you have nightmares. There's all these emotions that hurt. And if you talk about it, whether professionally with someone or with a friend, you're able to work through them. It's like untying knots, and you want that rope to be smooth again. So just don't hold on to it. Don't do that. For your sanity's sake. This was a heavy topic, and I felt compelled in my heart that I needed to talk about it. And I would love your support, and subscribe to our channel. Click the bell to get notified when I release new episodes. And follow our family's journey on Instagram at Nolapapa, at Facebook at Nolapapa, and on my blog. I write about all of this stuff on my blog at nolapapa.com. And I appreciate all of your support. It means a lot to me. You know, we're all getting there together. So why not support and lift each other up while we're getting there? And that's what it's about. That's what this life is all about. And I'll see you next time.